The Eichmann trial is very well known for its enormous impact on Israeli society. It's still being discussed today and judged in different ways. It did really have a big impact, it's very obvious. It was a public trial, and so people really did go and look at it like a show, like theater. It was on the radio, so people really did follow it, and in schools people were listening to it. So it did have a very big impact. People speak in Israel about only through the Eichmann trial realizing that people who are living right next to them, that people who are working with them are Holocaust survivors, but I think mainly it had the impact of giving the version of the survivors themselves. It was the first time that they had a stage on which they could present their story, their side of it, and not judged all the time. There is an interesting question in the comparison to Germany at the time. Because the trial of Adolf Eichmann was possible through specific laws that were made in Israel during the 50s. And these laws were actually, their name was the Laws Against the Nazis and Their Collaborators. Now, we only heard about the Eichmann trial, but there were many trials against those who were seen as their collaborators. Since there were not many Nazis in Israel, if any, all these trials were against Jews. Jews who were seen as collaborators of the Nazis. They're much less known today, but they say something about the atmosphere in Israel of the time, where you had scenes of survivors in a barber shop. A woman comes to cut her hair and realizes that her barber was a Funktionshäftling. She was the capo who is responsible for the death of her mother. And she physically grabbed this barber and towed her to the police station. And Ben-Gurion spoke of the danger of chaos breaking out in Israel because of this intense tension among the Holocaust survivors. So the laws were made in order to be able to control this issue of the Holocaust, and the Eichmann trial was a very important step in outing some of this publicly.